and gentlemen, welcome to NTR. I'm really excited to host you on another News Plus with a very important colleague all the way from Australia representing the Somalian community, and he's a wonderful scholar, my dear colleague and friend, Omar Dholowaa. He is really, it's 1 a.m. over there and it's 5 p.m. here in Turkey and 2 p.m. in Africa. So he was very kind to stay awake in Australia just to talk about the Australian community, the Somalian community in Australia, and his amazing work as a scholar in international relations. Omar Dholowaa, welcome to News Plus.
Thank you very much, your host, Slim.
We are really excited that you had the time to join us with short notice. I know it's 1 a.m. there, so I can't thank enough on behalf of our television channel for your valuable time. Thank you so much, sir.
My pleasure, sir.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll show a short video about Somalia, and then we will talk many things with our dear brother, dear colleague, Mr. Omar Dholowaa, who is a very important scholar as well as a community leader in Australia representing Somalia. We'll talk about many things, but first let's watch our video, shall we?
There's a country where lots of girls get named Istanbul and boys Erdogan. It's got the largest Turkish embassy in the world, is filled with Turkish hospitals and schools, and many of its people adore Turkey. Some can even speak Turkish. But this country isn't one of Turkey's neighbours or even in the same region. That's right, Somalia. In case you haven't heard, Turkey and Somalia are really good buddies. Not only is Turkish Airlines the only international flight there, but Turkey has invested millions into aid and development in Somalia and helps them in their fight against terrorism. Turkey's presence in Somalia, a famine-ridden, war-torn, terrorist-infested country, has something to do with a concept called first mover advantage, and it helps both Turkey and Somalia. You see, there are many African countries that need aid, and many already have heavy foreign investment, mostly from China. But Somalia is different. There, the political and economic climate is so unstable that no one's taking the risk, except Turkey. In 2011, in the height of famine and severe food insecurity that killed 250,000 Somalis, Turkey stepped in with major aid and investment. Erdogan became the first non-African leader to visit Somalia in 2 decades. After that, Turkish investment went full speed. Ankara started rebuilding the airport, paving roads, building schools and hospitals. Turkish Airlines became the first international carrier to fly to Somalia in more than 2 decades. And Turkish development agency TİKA and the Turkish Red Crescent, along with other NGOs and organizations, began large-scale construction, waste collection and water treatment projects. Turkish Airlines has also helped carry tons of aid during the recent famine. In just 6 years, Turkey became Somalia's 5th biggest source of imports and has provided more than $1 billion in aid. The bilateral trade went from $6 million to $72 million in 5 years. And while Turkey is building schools within Somalia, it's also providing thousands of Somali students with scholarships to study in Turkey. Meanwhile, many Turkish aid workers and professionals travel to Somalia to contribute to development, despite frequent Al-Shabaab attacks, especially in the capital. Turkey just recently opened its largest overseas military training facility in Mogadishu, where they can train more than 1,500 Somali troops at a time. And the investment is paying off. Turkey has earned the appreciation of Somalis who see Turkish support and aid all around them. They watch Turkish soap operas and buy Turkish products, and while Turkish officials express that it's out of humanitarian duty that they're helping rebuild Somalia, it's a win-win for both sides. Somalia is providing Turkey with a new market in a place mostly untouched by other investors, where it can enjoy its first mover advantage. And the Horn of Africa country is also in a strategic location, serving as a gateway to the rest of Africa. It could boost Turkey's economy and influence in the continent, while helping stabilize a country that's been suffering from war, poverty and terror for decades. Other nations have also helped Somalia in the past, but Turkey's interaction with Mogadishu has no colonial or Cold War baggage like many other countries. And ordinary Somalis can see that the Turkish presence is improving their lives.
We love Somalia. That's why we love Omar Dholowaa as well. Dear Omar, again, I want to thank you for joining us. And I want you to tell for our 900 million viewers across Africa in 40 countries, including Somalia, who Omar Dholowaa is.
Omar Dholowaa is a Somalian migrant who migrated from Somalia in 1988, then arrived in Australia and lived here in Australia over the last 31 years. I did my bachelor and my master in Australia. I work as a community development worker. Also, I run a program called Puntland Diaspora Forum, where I happen to be the chairman of that particular group. That particular group were supporting the Somalis wherever they are, particularly the state that they come from, which is the northwest of Somalia.
And you are in Australia for how many years now?
Over the last 31 years.
That's amazing. So how did you end up in Australia? What took you to Australia? And what were the challenges you lived as you moved to Australia and built the community there? And I'm very curious about your story and your success story.
I left Somalia in 1984, January, and then went to Saudi Arabia. I stayed there for 4 years. I did not feel comfortable to live there, coming from a more liberal culture. Then I decided to go somewhere. On top of that, Somalia was not getting better. It was becoming more in war kind of situation. So I thought it's the right time to go somewhere else. Initially, I decided to go to India to study, because that was one of the conditions that my father put on me when I said I'm going to go to overseas, because he didn't want me to go to overseas. But he said, after I insisted that I have to go, at least I have to finish my study. So I went to India in 1988. Coming from Saudi Arabia in 1988 to India was a big challenge. Almost everything was something that I could not handle. So I decided to go somewhere else. Initially, I got a ticket to New Zealand, but I broke my journey when I was actually in Sydney, Australia, as a transit. And that's where I broke my journey. And then from 1988, January, February that year, I ended up staying in Australia and up to now. And my life is now more or less Australian. And I'm glad that I'm here. I find Australia to be a very nice place. The people are very nice, very social, very welcoming. Less discrimination. The discrimination exists here and there, but compared to other parts of the world, Australia has more stable, more law and order, and I don't have any issue. I don't feel that I'm others, but I feel that I'm a member of the society. I'm nothing but Australian, and that's where I am now, and I'm happy to be here.
That's the beauty of not being discriminated. So in a way, Australia is very similar to Turkey, because people are not categorized based on their race or ethnicity or religion, based on if they're paying their taxes. And there are also a very strong community building here in Turkey, in Ankara and Istanbul, and many places. Thousands of students in Turkey studying, and actually most recently the Minister of Justice was studied actually in Turkey and became a Minister of Justice in Somalia. And we feel Somalia as our brother and sister, and this is sincerely what we feel. And here at NTR, we are also partnering with Somalian Turkish TV under the leadership of Mr. Abdullah, who is an amazing leader who also served in the Somalian government before as a spokesperson as well as in the state. So from your standpoint, what you are doing here in Australia, and I want to see your view of the upcoming Somalian elections from Australia. How do you see the upcoming Somalian elections? What are your analysis? I'm very curious about your analysis, sir.
Brother, thank you very much for that comments in relation to the Somalians. I would like to start with, I would like to convey my condolences to those who lost their loved ones in Somalia. We really feel sorry for them. We understand how they feel about the loss, and I hope they will overcome that situation. And I believe they were supposed to be welcomed with flower, not with AK-47, and they were not supposed to be killed at all. So let me say that before I enter the rest of what I have to say. Rather, in relation to Somalia, yes, it's election time, but unfortunately we have got only 13 days to run the election. And as far as the people in the ground is concerned, whom I was talking to them a couple of minutes ago, there's nothing there. There's nothing ready at this moment. And only God knows what will happen from there, because the people, the public, as well as the opposition were expecting that the issue will be addressed by the current government, but nothing has been done at this stage. And I'm not quite sure where that will take Somalian people.
So do you see a peaceful transition? Do you see a good outcome in general? Because Somalia is a very important country at the Horn of Africa, and we see Al-Shabaab, attacks towards Turkish targets as well as our Somalian brothers and sisters. I will get into that, but despite all these attacks, do you feel that there will be a free and transparent election in Somalia?
That's what we were expecting, but there were few steps to be taken to come to that level. At this moment, nothing has happened. We have got 13 days to go, 12 days to go actually from my end, and there's nothing. All the conditions are not addressed. All the issues are not addressing. The concerns of the oppositions or those who are part of the program were not addressed by the current governments. They seem to be stuck in the power, and really the Somalis are sick and tired of war and disagreements and the kind of thing that brought the Somalians where they are today. But unfortunately, the current government are not taking the right process to run what the people want, what the oppositions want, what the international community want, including your country. And really, we don't want to waste the time, but unfortunately, the decision rests in the hand of the current government, and they don't seem to be moving towards that direction, unfortunately.
Yes. So, do you feel there might be a change in terms of the, new government or new elections? What is the expected outcome from your standpoint of this election? What do you think?
The Somalians are sick and tired of someone who is sitting there. Over the last almost 20 years, every 4 years there were one leader. And each leader left at the end of his term. And unfortunately, this gentleman, the current president of Somalia, Mr. Farmajo, Abdullah Farmajo, seemed to be not intending, he's not planning at all to run the election and let the people to decide who they want to be their president. He is so determined to come back, but the way he wants to come back is either me or otherwise. And that's what the Somalian people are concerned at the moment. The international community are there, including the Turkish government, Turkish policymakers, I assume, and all of them are expecting the program to move on and the election to be held, so the people will decide who they want to run over the next 4 years.
Of course, as NTR broadcasting for Turkey, we have full respect to the interior, affairs of our Somalian brothers and sisters. We only want peace, prosperity, and full democracy and peace in the region as well as in Somalia, and growth. Because when Turkey initially came, I have many Somalians who are telling me that Yavuz, we are actually defining the moment Recep Tayyip Erdogan touched down back in 2011 versus now. It's a totally different Somalia. So Somalia is in our heart. We only want peace and blessing for our brothers and sisters there. And I hope everything will happen in a peaceful and prosperous way with dignity and respect, regardless of who manages, who is the president in Somalia. Turkish people will continue to love Somalia, and we only have respect and love, and we only want Somalia to grow and also get rid of the Al-Shabaab and other external affairs, mitigations inside Somalia. And from elections, I want to move to Somalia-Turkey relations, dear Mr. Omar. From your perspective, how do you see this Somalian-Turkish relations? And is it where you want it to be, or do you think we should do more to enhance this relation? And how can we enhance it further?
I believe Turkish government led by Erdogan are doing very good in Somalia. I remember when he arrived in Somalia, 2011, it was him and member of his cabinet as well as his family. That time, apart from the civil wars, there were droughts, and that's what led him to arrive and come in Somalia to see the people personally. Since then, Turkish were differently approaching the Somali issue. They were there themselves rather than asking other agencies to do the job, pay money, and do this and do that, where some of the money might go somewhere that no one knows. But Turkish was different from the other countries. They came there by themselves. They did the job from cleaning to rehabilitating the infrastructure, the port, the airport, the roads, the banks, all these. They were there on a personal level doing whatever they can do to help the Somalian people. So Somalian people see India as their brothers and sisters. Anyone you ask, that's why, brother, now as we speak, there are thousands and thousands of Somalians studying in Turkish universities, paying money and feeling homey. They feel that they are part of the society. They go to the masjid, they pray, they eat, they go in Ramadan, and they feel that it is their home. It's not a foreign country, but rather their home.
That is correct.
Despite the fact that many times they were attacked by this hopeless, useless human being who just feel happy to kill the people, that didn't change the mind of the Turkish people. They are still there. They're doing a very good job. The only thing that I would like to suggest to Turkish government, especially the policymakers, is to not only to stay in the capital, but to move the other parts of Somalia, the other states, particularly the stable states like Puntland and Somaliland, and run the same programs that they're running there. These areas are stable, they are quiet, relatively peaceful compared to the rest of Somalia, and I think they have to sort of expand their programs and projects, not only to stay in the capital is the Somali capital, but also the country states. And I think it is good for Turkey people to also see and help and support the other parties of the country, the other people, the other governments that exist. There are full states that are operational, doing their jobs well, looking after their people, and maintaining the stability and the peace of the regions that they control. So Turkey have to move from centralized system where they stay in the capital and move to the other part of Somalia to be seen that they are there for all, not only the government seat and supporting the government. There's one other thing that I would like to raise to you. As you are aware, Turkish government has trained military arms. They also supplied arms. I would like Turkish government to follow up and make sure that this men and this military supply is not used to suppress the public, the people that were supposed to be supported by the Turkish. They will feel differently if the army supplied by the Turkish are used against the people. It didn't happen so far as I know, but there must be some rulings, some instruction from Turkish government to make sure that the job they done will not impact the people negatively.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, mostly Turkish support is on a technical level and training and giving also technical direction and more training and education, both in Turkey as well as in Somalia for the security forces. So not only investment in business, not only education, culture, building infrastructure, port, airport, and healthcare like Recep Tayyip Erdogan Hospital. But security is also important. But the idea is to fight against Al-Shabaab, which is actually creating havoc, creating disaster within the region. That is the idea of Turkish government support. So the Somalian brothers and sisters can feel and live freely inside their country. That is really the only intention, as far as I know. Of course, I'm not a security expert. But, from there, I want to move to media. Here you are now at NTR television, broadcasting to 900 million viewers across Africa in 40 countries. And you are now being watched not only from 2 satellites, with Asra 2G and Turksat, but also through OTT with our communication and joint venture with our Somalian brothers with the leadership of Mr. Abdullah Mohammed. We now have also Somalian Turkish TV. So you are also being watched around the world through the cable and OTT with Somalian Turkish TV. So my point is, what do you think about the Turkey's media collaboration in Africa and Somalia with NTR and especially with SomTR, which is known as Somalian Turkish TV?
Brother, I really welcome this, not only on a personal level, but I believe it will have an international impact. One of the areas, when I was very young, I always wanted to see media that represent the third world countries that are international level. You cannot imagine how I was delighted when Al Jazeera come over and started operating all over the world. Now, for you to join the NTR, to join that effort will be useful, and it will give voice to people who don't have voice for the time being. In the world, media is dominated by the West, and always they got their own agenda and their own plan and their own ways to address. It doesn't mean that they are hopeless. They are not. They are very effective and they are very useful, and they supply or provide the kind of information that the people need. But also we need someone who is a member of the third world countries who can understand their situation and interpret their issues, their problems, their success and their failure, and give those who have no voice a voice to speak and convey their feeling to the rest of the world.
Thank you. I mean, there are so many brave businessmen and people in Somalia and in Turkey who wants to enhance this relationship. building bridges, cultural as well as economic, and further the ties. That's why Mr. Abdullah Muhammad and his amazing team, which I'm also honored to be part of, decided to build Somalian Turkish TV. And our only vision is to really enhance these relationships and really build it even across Australia and around the world. Because through Somalian Turkish TV connections, we can even be watched in Canada and United States as well as in Europe. Because we are going also through a separate channel, and we will do further work to enhance our outreach to all the Somalian communities around the world, including Australia, inshallah, maybe with your support and with your leadership, who knows.
That's very good, brother, and it's very, very important. And I know Abdullah, he's been very active in Somalia, particularly Puntland state of Somalia, and he was there to actually inform and let the people know their rights and also represented them in terms of information and all the things that they need. And I am hopeful and I'm confident that he will do exactly the same that he was doing in Somalia, particularly Puntland, and play a more international role rather than regional or state level. So good luck for him, and thanks for his efforts, and also thank you for giving him the opportunity to come forward and support him to do what he is able to do. And I'm sure he will be successful and will make a contribution to your programs.
Absolutely. He is already heading in a wonderful way with Fatma and his amazing team, building really good quality programs. So we are wide open to all the also content from Australia because it's a global village, you know. We are welcoming everyone, also our brothers and sisters in Somalia, within the Somalian community in Australia, to welcome. This is your television, Somalian Turkish TV. It is really yours. So we appreciate your support.
Yeah. Thank you, brother. And I hope for Turkey to succeed. It is at Fanger to become an international member effectively and very usefully. I hope all the best for everyone in Turkey. Whenever something happened to Turkish men in Somalia, I feel that my brother and my sisters are killed. I don't feel that they are Turkish, but my brothers and my sisters. And I cry with those people who are impacted personally by this death and destruction that happened to members of the men who came there only to support, only to help, only to rehabilitate the people who need their help. Those who are killing those kind of people are not human beings. I cannot call them human beings. They are not. And Allah will give them what they deserve one day. Whether I don't know whether it will be soon or later, but definitely they will pay the price of what they did to those who are supporting their weak people. Their people who desperate. Imagine the people who are killed because they were building road.
Absolutely.
What kind of religion do they have?
I hear you.
It's the responsibility of every Muslim to do that. If the locals fail to do that because they don't have the means to do it, those who came there, travel all the way from the other parts of the world to do this kind of action against them, it's just savage. It's not something that I can accept it.
Sure. So from media and all these points that you're raising, I want to move to the Somalia itself. There is a reality. Somalia is a growing power at the Horn of Africa, and Somalia is much bigger than Somalia. With the neighborhood countries, most of them are also originated from Somalia. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Somalia used to be always strategic. It was always important for the international community. It controls actually, or at least harbor the sea route. All those goods coming from Middle East, whether it's oil or other products, go through Somalia. So the stability of Somali territory is very important for the international community, whether they are Turkish or otherwise, particularly Europe, who use that sea route. And as a result, sometimes as a result of being important strategically, actually harm and hurt Somalians politically, socially, and economically. because sometimes there is a competition against the powers. If you remember, during the Cold War, the Russians were there, the Americans were there, and one of the reasons why Somalis never mature enough is because always there's someone there who's supporting the person that should not be supported, for political reasons, for strategic reasons, for economic reasons. And that's what's actually holding Somalia back and putting in the position that they are always. Somalia is very important for the international community, but that importance is sometimes hurting and harming them socially, politically, and economically.
Yes. That's why we believe in African solutions for African problems, Somalian solutions for Somalian problems. It has to be coming from the people itself. Our job is to support from our bottom of heart wherever it is needed. And we have full respect, and we are, the Somalians I met, all of them are very sincere people, very honest, very hardworking, mashallah, and really trying to create solutions rather than creating problems, trying to find solutions, also in Turkey. So we have so much respect and love for all of them, and they are, marrying, Turkish people, Somalian Turkish. So it's a building community around the world. And Somalia is really a rising strategic, economic, and military, like you said, from the history, having a very long shore in a very strategic location. But like you said, being very important also hinders, and many people who are not there to support are trying to create problems like Al-Shabaab. And as you know, recently we had attacks around the coast of Nigeria, and also recently in Somalia we had, unfortunately, some engineers who have been shaheed, who have been passed away with the Al-Shabaab horrible attack. May Allah keep their peace in their soul in peace and give them Jannah. So in this last 4 minutes, who do you think are behind these attacks, and what are they trying to do with using Al-Shabaab as a tool inside Somalia and targeting Turkish people as well as Somalian infrastructure?
Brother, there are so many gossips and hearsay and all these. I don't want to refer those kind of unofficial evidences.
Sure.
But many people are saying many things. Sometimes they criticize Arabs, sometimes they criticize Americans, sometimes they criticize others without any evidence. Yes. So to criticize people and put the blame on them when you don't have any evidence is useless. If I have to blame someone, I would blame the Somalis and their Islamic teaching, which is wrong. There's no Islamic teaching that asks the people to go out and kill innocent people, let alone those who are feeding them, those who are helping them, those who are building their life. We don't need to go out and find another person to justify the problem. I believe it is not only that we are victim, but our religion is also victim, because the religion has been misused and abused by a people who has no knowledge to represent the religion that they're claiming to be representing. They are there for their own needs. As we speak today, according to many reports, they're collecting more money than the government in Mogadishu is collecting from the business organizations. So they are there for their own end and their own interest. And I think it is just baseless or irrelevant to go out and find someone to put the blame on them. If someone has to be blamed, Somalians should be blamed, because they are the one who has got the gun. They are the one who's buying the weapon from almost wherever they can find. They are the one who are killing their brothers and sisters. They are the one who's, doing anything that's not acceptable in any language, in any religion, in any way of culture. So I wouldn't waste my time to find someone to put the blame on their shoulders but rather I have to blame my brothers and my sisters who are contributing this death and destruction happening in Somalia, not only to the Somalians, but even those who came there to help the Somalian people.
Yes, sir. So we all know Islam is the religion of peace, and Islam means peace, coming from the Salam root. So we know that these Al-Shabaab goal is to actually hurt Islam, and they will never succeed. And I appreciate, the hard work all of our brothers and sisters doing inside Somalia to actually educate and train and tell the beauty of Islam, rather than these terrorists actually fighting and killing only Muslims for whatever reason, so in the name of whatever. So they will never succeed, inshallah. And we, united all together, we will bring the beauty of peace and prosperity around the world. In this last 1 minute, may I take your last messages for our viewers? We will close in 1 minute, dear Mr. Omar.
I will first thank you for your efforts to make this meeting possible. But also, I would, if I have to say one sentence, I would like the people to respect each other, to understand each other, to live together in peace, and maintain the peace wherever they are, whether they are in Africa, Somalia, anywhere in Middle East or the rest of the world, whether it's America or anywhere else, or Australia for that matter. The people respect us. The people give us, especially the non-Somalians, the white people particularly. When we came here, we were just travelers. We were given life, and I always feel sorry, like the way I'm feeling for the Turkish people. I feel sorry when I see that the people are showing some kind of hate against the same people who are supporting them. That's happening in Somalia, it's happening here, but they are the minority. But unfortunately, always the minority are heard, not the majority, because what they're doing is silly and unacceptable. And sometimes they represent us, and we are seen to be the same boat, in the same boat, and that is very unfortunate. So I would like also the rest of the world, particularly all the Western countries, to change their attitude towards what's called terrorism. Terrorism is a few people, minimal people, who are taking the wrong, who are misguided and misled. Actually, these people that we're talking about need help to be rehabilitated psychologically and medically, let alone to blame them.
Thank you. Omar Dholowaa, well, it was a pleasure. Take care and all the best. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really excited and thrilled that you were in this show listening to Omar Dholowaa. So I want to thank you again. Stay tuned to NTR TV with News Plus. This is your anchorman, Yavuz Selim Sulay, physician, entrepreneur, and venture architect. We are continuing every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Turkish time, live, continuing this amazing shows with amazing leaders. Stay tuned to NTR. Take care and all the best. Bye.